Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1788. Today we're having fun with cars in Virginia. Hold on.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm in beautiful Alexandria, Virginia, with a very special guest by the name of Stewart Bartley. Hey, Stewart, welcome to Cars Yeah. Are you buckled up and ready for a fun ride?
I am ready. The shoulder straps are tight. The Hans' device is on. I'm ready.
Cool. Well, hopefully we won't need any of those. We'll keep it on the track today. Now, before I give you a proper introduction and we dive into your world, what's one little thing, Stewart, that most people don't know about you?
Well, most people don't know because I don't admit it that one of my favorite things to do is watch reruns of the old Monkees TV show from the 1960s.
Hey, we're the Monkees.
That's it. Because, if I could do over here on my life, you would be interviewing me because of my long and successful career as a rock and roll guitarist.
Hey.
But sadly, that did not materialize due to a shortage of talent on my part.
My sister and I used to love that show, and I go back and watch it now, and I go, man, what a silly show. I mean, it's just so goofy, and you think about television now and how serious most of it's gotten, and just how fun that is. Right. Kind of like the Brady Bunch and all those shows. They were just lighthearted, and they had messages. I mean, I don't know, I'm sure what the Monkees message was. We just kind of...
I don't know what those messages were.
Just, goof off and play guitars, but we love that band. And I remember as I got a little older, someone said, well, they weren't really a real band, and they kind of told me how they got together, and I'm like, what? Don't tell me that. They sounded pretty real to me.
You don't want to hear that.
No, but yeah, pretty fun.
I actually saw Mickey and Davey live once, so
really?
They actually performed. So yeah,
there you go. Yeah. So what did that guy know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, right, exactly.
Well, cool. Well, hey, we're the Monkees. We'll have a little fooling around today, a little monkeying around, as they say.
All right.
I remember building the Monkey Mobile model when I was a kid.
Oh,
I think George Barris may have designed that. He did all those.
I think he did.
Yeah, those great cars. So, all right. Well, you're the first one to admit to that. So, very nice start here, Stewart. That's pretty cool. Let me give you a proper introduction. Stewart Bartley is treasurer and board member of the Old Town Festival of Speed and Style in Alexandria, Virginia. Today, he's combining his professional real estate experience and success with his automotive passion to develop the Dominion Lux Garage Condominiums at Dominion Raceway and Entertainment near Fredericksburg. A successful career in real estate development has enabled Stewart to fuel his passion with even faster cars. He races Formula Fords with the Vintage Racers Group and is an active member of the Ferrari Club of America. Stewart's fascination with cars goes all the way back to his youth when he was listening to the Monkees, and he still owns his second car, a 1959 MGA that he purchased in high school. We'll be back in just a minute to talk with Stewart some more about his life around cars and Monkees and all of that and guitars. But first, a word from our sponsors. So give them a listen. They're the ones that bring the show to you every day, and we'll be right back. Are you heading out on the highway for a road trip this summer? I can't wait to hit the road. Covercraft makes quality protection for the inside of your vehicles while you're traveling. Their plush, custom-fit mats or Berber mats turn any ride into something special and are easy to remove and clean after days on the road. Covercraft floor mats are the ultimate protection from moisture, dirt, mud, snow, and slush. Just about anything you can throw at them. Don't forget your vehicle's trunk area too. Their Carhartt custom cargo liners not only look great, but they keep your rear cargo areas and seats protected from the sun and those accidental spills. Custom fit truck liners for sedans, coupes, and SUVs are perfect to protect the factory carpet from all those things that can stain and damage the floors. All your options are quality made, easy to clean, secure to the floor, and look oh so good. Check out covercraft.com for a wide variety of styles, colors, and options for a custom fit. And I've got a special offer for you. If you use the code YEAH21, that's YEAH21 at covercraft.com, they'll give you 10% off your Covercraft order. That's right, 10% off. Simply use the code YEAH21 at checkout. Covercraft, protecting the things that move you. When it was time to renew my last policy for my collector car, my carrier's rates went up. They went way up. But my usage was the same, and I never had made a claim. No tickets, nothing. What's with that? American Collectors Insurance, that's who now protects my Porsche Turbo, the one I call my Orange Crush. Has your collector car insurance recently raised your rates for no good reason? Tired of paying an annual membership fee? I was too. So I shopped around, I asked friends for recommendations, and found a winner that I can trust. And boy, am I glad I did. I'm saving hundreds of dollars. I can sleep at night knowing my baby is properly insured. American Collectors Insurance have been protecting vehicles since 1976. They provide me with an agreed value insurance policy backed by a history of taking care of their clients. What could be better than that? Give them a call for a quote today at 866-ACI-YEAH. That's 866-224-9324. And protect the ones you love like I did. American Collectors Insurance. Classic car insurance designed by collectors for collectors. All right, Stewart, as we continue on this fun life that you're having here, we'll put the guitars down and we'll put the racing suits on. I'd love for you to share a success quote or a mantra, some kind of saying that's been instrumental in your life. It's a nice way to get the tires smoking a little bit here on Cars Yeah. I know you love to drive, buddy, so grab the wheel.
Okay. Well, one thing, I don't remember where I first heard this, but someone told me that business is a contact sport.
Yes,
and
indeed.
that you need to get out there and meet people, build relationships, and obviously build your own reputation, because at the end of the day, that's all you've got. And I really tried to work on that. I try to keep in touch with people I met in business school, other successful business people, and really try to nurture that.
Yeah, it's so important. And it's a funny thing that this ties into our passion for cars because, as you know, Stewart, cars are really about all the people around the cars. The cars just kind of bring us together. And then we get to have fun. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what you're doing with Dominion Lux Garage Condominiums. So let's talk a little bit. Maybe first you can go back a little bit about your career as in real estate and what brought you forward into this. Maybe talk a little bit about your racing and then tell us about this project that you're putting together because it sounds very, very cool.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, my career has been mostly in the multifamily housing business. So I've been interested in real estate since, as long as I can remember, since I was in college. I think my college girlfriend's dad was in real estate, and it always seemed like he didn't do much of anything but collect the rent. And I thought, that looks like I could do that.
Sounds like a plan, yeah.
It turned out it was a little bit more involved than that, but that's where years ago I found I got into the multifamily housing business and really enjoyed that. Enjoyed the product type. It's a little less risky than some of the other types of real estate development. So we have been here in the Washington, D.C. area since the late 80s and got pretty heavily involved in the multifamily side up here in the 2000s, which, with 2020 hindsight was a great time because a lot of young people were really becoming interested in moving back into the close-in urban areas near metros and things like that. So it was, it's always better to be a little lucky than good. But so we built a lot of. I worked for a big company here called the JBG Companies, which is now JBG Smith. We developed a lot of multifamily housing in downtown DC, which really surprisingly did not have a lot of good housing in the downtown area. It's mostly commercial office buildings. So there was a big push to add by the mayor at the time to add residents to DC's tax rolls, and so we had a lot of success building both rentals and condominiums. And then about in the late 2000s, I had a good chance. We sold a lot of things, and I had a chance to really go out on my own. So that's what I've been doing since then. And I've done a few multifamily projects. But then I also, when Dominion Raceway and Entertainment, just as you mentioned, about halfway between Washington, D.C. and Richmond, It's a track that opened up about 5 years ago. It's a relatively new track, and it has a driver's club.
Nice.
And so I joined the drivers club, and one of the attractions of the drivers club was going to be future garage condominiums that were sort of in the. It was just an idea at the time, and I mentioned to the ownership of the track when I met him. I said, my day job is real estate development, and when you're ready, if you need some help with that, let me know. And that's how we got started with the Dominion Lux Garage Condominiums. It took a couple of years before they were ready, but we partnered with them on an adjacent parcel of land to build garage condos. And I always feel compelled to clarify that these are not condos for you, human being, to live in. These are really garages, nice garages. For your extra cars to live in, and if you're like me, and for you to hang out in, and again, that is one of the things. In addition to just selling garages, we're hoping to build a community of like-minded car enthusiasts. You don't have to be a track rat, certainly not to need the space, but there's some beautiful Virginia byways just outside the gate. So if you just have a collector car and you're not interested in thrashing it about on a racetrack, you can there's some much better country roads to exercise an old MG on down there than inside the Beltway of Washington, D.C.
Yeah, this is really great because you've found a way to combine your vocation with your avocation, combine these things and create something that is fun, tied to your love for cars. And now this seems to be a phenomenon occurring across the country. I've had probably now a dozen different people on Cars Yeah that are doing similar types of things. Some are tied to racetracks, some are not. Some are even livable spaces. But do you think right now with what's happening with the baby boomers, which is a huge population of people aging to a point where they're either retiring, selling businesses, settling back, throttling back, whatever you want to call it. But not too many people have garages. If you have a collection of cars that's over 3 maybe, or even 2, along with your daily drivers, there's nowhere to put them. And I've got friends like this, and they're like, I've got all these cars, and they're scattered all over the place, and I never get to go see them, and it's frustrating, and what do I do? And you fulfill the need there for people to have one place to go. Plus, you bring this community together for events and driving and get-togethers or Saturday morning cars and coffees, or hey, Joe's working on his car, or Stewart still has that MG. Let's go over and check it out and take it for a ride. So it's really cool.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly the idea, and we are counting on taking hold. So we're just about to deliver the first building. So the jury's still out on how many people will come down and buy a garage, but we're hoping that they will. You did mention that this has been done successfully throughout the country, but it is pretty unique in our Washington metro area.
Wow,
So as you can imagine, explaining it to a banker was challenging because you can't point to one down the street and say, well, here, I know it'll work because they did one.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but we have developed a good banking partner relationship, and so our marketing plan, of course, was to go to large gatherings of car enthusiasts over the past year, and we all know what happened to that.
Yeah, so much for that, right?
So we're having to do a little bit more of this type of virtual marketing,
right.
But we are having a grand opening Cars and Coffee coming up March 20th.
Cool.
So if you're in the area, please come by, and we have coffee, donuts, and I'll take a few cars down there, and we can you can see the racetrack. The racetrack is right next to us, and it's connected by a private road, so you don't have to worry about having a street legal car. You can just hop in your race car if that's what you have, and drive it on the private road over to the racetrack and attend a member driving day. There are 270 events at this track during the course of the year.
270?
So there's always something going on. Yeah. Now they do more than just cars. They've got a 2-mile road course, a 4/5 of a mile NASCAR. It's the Advanced Auto Parts, their entry-level series. They've got a music venue, and They have a lot of concerts. Zombie paintball, if you're into that.
Zombie paintball. Yeah, keep your cars in the garage when the paintball guns come out. This is really cool. So since we're in April now. And obviously my listeners know the shows are recorded before. So for your March grand opening, we will have missed that. However, people can locate you guys via your website, right? And then make a connection and come by and check things out and see what's going on. Will your website also have a calendar of upcoming events and things? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We actually intend for the Cars and Coffee to be an ongoing thing. So even though you will miss the March one, there will hopefully be one in April and May. So yes, go to the website, dominionlux.com, and the calendar will be updated. And we'll look forward to seeing some of your listeners at a later Cars and Coffee.
Absolutely. Yeah, it sounds like fun. A fantastic project. And given what's going on with the economy and demographics and people and where you are, you're in a highly populated area. I think there's going to be nothing but success there. Now, Stewart, I always ask my guests about a big challenge, something that in your life or your career that kind of pushed back on you. But this is more about what was the lesson learned so you could come out of it positive. So can you take us on a little bumpy journey, perhaps?
Well, yes. So, I mentioned that most of my career had been in multifamily housing, but I really started out in the office arena, working with high net. I worked for a company that managed the real estate investment portfolios for high net worth individuals, and they were almost all office buildings. And to be perfectly honest with you, Mark, I learned to hate the office.
You learned to hate
building
the office
industry. During,
yeah.
I never really liked going to an office myself, and I found out that during this. When was this? This was the late '80s, early '90s, and and some tough times in the economy then after the, I guess, '87 recession.
Right.
So the office building business was difficult, but it was also very separate and distinct from the multifamily business at the time, at least. It makes sense. Industries have kind of merged a little bit more, or at least companies cross over more now than they did at the time. So back to my contacts, I had all these contacts in the office building business, and anyway, went to work for. We were courting a guy who was interested in starting his own real estate portfolio, and after a while, it became clear he was not going to become a client of our firm. He wanted to do it himself. So I thought, well, here's an opportunity to go see if I can start a business from an idea. And so I did. Went to work for him. And after a while, looking at several investment opportunities in office building, it became clear that he wasn't interested in office industry either. And maybe my hatred rubbed off on him subliminally. But anyway, he decided he owned a couple small apartment buildings, and he was just more comfortable with that. So we decided that we would get in the multifamily business. And so I figuratively through my Rolodex, if you remember what a Rolodex was.
Oh, yeah. I'm old enough to know what those are.
Yeah. So I threw my commercial office building Rolodex over my left shoulder and started dialing the phone and introducing myself to people in the multifamily industry, starting out saying, hi, you don't know me, but we're interested in investing in apartments. And so that was certainly a challenge because we had no reputation. This individual really had, he'd made his fortune in another industry, so we didn't have any name recognition at all. So while it was a challenge, we successfly built a little multifamily business. So that gave me a lot of confidence that I could. Well, we were building a business from scratch, but then we layered on the fact that we were building it in a sector of the industry that I really didn't know anything about. So that was challenging but rewarding, and with 20/20 hindsight, was also a good move.
Well, definitely. And I heard a couple key things here in your description of all this. One is if you're doing something you're not happy with, don't do it anymore. Find something else to do. Life is too short. And also take a chance, go out there and take some of your skill sets from your old career, your old job into the new one, but don't just keep doing what you don't like. It's not a way to go through life. And with time and effort and a lot of hard work, you can build something that is successful, just like Stewart did. Let's take a short break and thank our sponsors. When we come back, we're going to dive into your passion for cars, racing, and all of that. So sit tight. Keep the seatbelts on. Cars Yeah is proud to support our veterans, which is why I've teamed up with our nonprofit partner, TechForce Foundation, through its Veterans at Work Military Transition Campaign. The tech shortage is very real, and our country needs skilled, qualified techs to keep our cars, trucks, airplanes, and fleets rolling. When so many vets build their skills in maintaining and servicing vehicles when deployed, TechForce helps transition those skills to jobs as professional technicians when they come home. Learn more about TechForce Foundation and its Veterans at Work Military Transition Fund at techforce.org today. I've discovered Linkage. It's a new quarterly publication and website that covers the automotive market, driving, restoring, collecting, and discovering your passion for motor vehicles. Linkage is about experiences, opinions, and values. Linkage is an actual informed, reasoned opinion based on first-hand experiences. A talented Linkage team covers the automotive world, the people who share your passion and mine, smart, considered, rational, and experienced opinions, ones you can learn from and grow. That includes our passion that drives auctions and the collector car market. So come with me and join us on this journey. Join Linkage. Linkage, geared for the automotive life. Subscribe today at linkagemag.com and use the code CARSYEAH when you subscribe to get $10 off. All right, so Stewart, is there a pivotal moment in your life when you knew that you were going to be a bit of a car guy? I know that I mentioned in your intro that you still have an MG that you acquired when you were in high school. So I think it goes way back.
And I sort of dated back to the movie Grand Prix, which was in the late 60s, I think 68 or something like that, with James Garner. It was about the then very exotic world of Formula One racing, primarily in Europe. And my dad took me to see that in Cinerama. I don't know if you know a lot of Rolodexes, you might remember Cinerama.
Of course.
But so I just was enthralled by that movie, the exotic locales and obviously the exotic cars, the Ferraris, and Dad was kind of a closet car enthusiast. He had always wanted a sports car, but never really had the means to be that impractical in his early marriage days. But so when I came along, I was the perfect excuse.
You were the excuse,
So we bought a 1960 MGA. It was my first car, and there was always something to do on that car, and my dad and I did that together. It was a great bonding experience during those often fraught teenage years. So when we started buying and selling old British sports cars, primarily MGAs and MGBs, and we'd fix them up and sell them, and think we were making a nice profit. We were probably earning about $1.25 an hour, if that.
Didn't matter. That wasn't the point.
That was not the point. Yeah. So it goes back. I've always been a car enthusiast, and I've always had some type of. Well, obviously, I've still got that '59 MGA that was my second car.
Yeah.
That was mostly on an MG budget most of my life until I was always fascinated with Ferraris, but I was not quite sure I would ever get there.
Well, this is a cool story because that movie started it stuck the needle in the arm for many people to start being car fanatics. But MGs they're special in my life. My dad, when I was about 5, bought a '49 MG TC. That's probably what really got me into cars as well.
Oh yeah.
So really fun. Well, let's talk about a really special car in your life. I mentioned it in the beginning, that MGA. Is that your really special vehicle, or is there something maybe since then that you've got, or even something today that makes you really happy, and if you could share a memory about that ride with us.
Sure. Yeah. Well, certainly the 59 MGA is a family member. There's even my wife would admit that she wouldn't sell that.
Nice.
But probably a more special car. I mentioned that I was bitten by the Ferrari bug early on. So in my teenage and 20s, I sort of identified the Ferrari 250 GTE, which was a 2+2 car that, at least at that point in time, was relatively affordable. $5,000 could buy one of those back then. I distinctly remember that price point. And I thought to myself, someday, Stewart, you might actually have $5,000. So that became my aspirational Ferrari. I never dreamed that I could buy at that time, the 308 series. I didn't even allow myself to dream that I could spend that kind of money on a car. But I thought $5,000 might do it. So that always became my again aspirational Ferrari. So, but I didn't act on it. I let one or two slip through my fingers, but it was still a bit of a stretch at those times. But I did finally pull the trigger. I'm going to say this was in the mid 2000s. I just had this sense that if I didn't buy one, then that the prices might continue to keep getting away from me. And so I bought a 62 250 GTE that was in Paris, France.
Wow.
And I bought it sight unseen, based on the description of the broker. And I was really just looking for a driver. The proverbial 20-footer would be good enough for me. So, and I thought this car sounded like it would meet those requirements. So I bought it. I was busy at work. I didn't really have time to go look at it. But when it got here finally, it turned out it needed an engine. It looked about I expected it to look. It was presentable, far from perfect, of course. And then, but it needed an engine rebuild. So it had coolant in the oil. So we rebuilt the engine, and once that was done, it made everything else look lousy by comparison. So the next thing I knew, I actually got talked into it by a local restorer who also had a soft spot in his heart for this particular model. So the next thing I knew, we were doing the rotisserie.
The going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, so it was like peeling an onion. There's nowhere to stop.
Yeah,
so,
and you just keep crying as you peel every piece back.
Exactly. It was, at some point the budget was something that was a memory. But anyway, the car turned out wonderful. We won a Platino award at the Ferrari Club of America and meet a few years back. But more recently, we won our class at the St. Michael's, Maryland Concours d'Elegance, and nice. on the weekend of my 60th birthday with my lovely wife of 32 years by my side. So that was definitely a special moment for me, my wife, and that car.
Well, that wonderful Colombo V12. I mean, you can't do any better than that.
Yeah.
So, and that car is a great gentleman's touring car to head down to the south of France or the Cannes Film Festival or something like that. Well, here's a very introspective question for you, Stewart. If you were a vehicle, now this isn't what you want to be because that's easy. This is your own thoughts about yourself, your personality tied into some kind of vehicle. What would Stewart be and why? Well,
that's a tough one. I think it would be, and I say this without having ever driven one of these new, exotic SUVs like a Bentley or Lamborghini SUV. I'm a little bit of a jack of all trades, master of none. I have a lot of different interests. I mentioned guitars early on, and I work at it, but I'm only presentable, not great. So, I could name a bunch of other things. I'm into aviation and, old warbirds and things like that. So I think I would be something that is, maybe pretty good at one thing, but tries to be a lot of other things and maybe doesn't pull it off all that well.
So what would that be?
Well, so like when I don't even know the names of all of them, but for example, Bentley has a big SUV now, and I don't even remember the name of it. I don't even know if I could pronounce the name of it. It may be fantastic. I've never driven one,
It's
but
called pricey.
to me, a Bentley should be a stately sedan or a convertible, not an SUV.
Yeah.
If you want an SUV, go get a Range Rover. So.
Yeah, no, I understand. Well, the Bentley is the Bentayga,
yeah,
Bentayga, whatever, however they say that, and of course
right.
the Rolls-Royce Cullinan. There's that one. There's all sorts of these cars that are, I don't know. I'm sure they're very nice, but they seem a little silly to me. But for that kind of a vehicle, but if you can do it or you like it, go for it. That's all I can say.
Right.
Lamborghini, of course, has their version of that kind of vehicle, and again, they look great. I think theirs is called the Urus. If I've got
I parked right next to one I was just down at Palm Beach International Raceway, and I parked right next to one. So.
Yeah, beautiful looking rides and fancy. I got to ride in a Cullinan once, the Rolls Royce, and it's like, whoa, this is a nice SUV. But yeah, I didn't even bother to ask the price. So very cool. Right. Well, I kind of get where you're going with that. Nice answer. Very, very cool.
Okay.
Well, we're entering what I call the last lap. This is a bit of a lightning round. Quick questions, quick answers. So here we go. What's one of your personal habits, Stewart, that you believe has contributed to your many successes in life?
Well, I always try to make sure I see things through to the finish. I try not to start anything that I don't think I can make a success of.
Perfect.
Some are more successful than others, but you got to see them through to the finish line.
Perfect. Now, if I could arrange for you to have a drink or a meal with anyone in the automotive industry, living or deceased, who would it be?
Would probably have to be Niki Lauda, because, he and James Hunt were having their great battles, in the mid 70s when I was getting my driver's license. And that was really very formative, years. That really was when I was really defining this passion a little bit better.
And two guys that couldn't be further apart in who they were and how they approached their racing. Yeah, very fascinating. Now, when it comes to automotive advice or racing advice, since you like to get out on the track, has someone ever offered you great advice that you kept in mind?
Well, it's probably the best advice that I've heard, not in the racing per se, but in the buying and selling of collector cars, is sell it as is. In other words, don't spend a bunch of money fixing something up to sell. And I'm pretty sure that's great advice, and I've actually never heeded it. So maybe one day I'll give it a try.
Yeah, I think it's a good advice for sure. Yeah, sell it just as is. You're buying it as is.
Yep.
Sorry, it's the way it is. Yeah, save your money for the next one. Now, when it comes to great resources, there's so many for us today. I'm going to first put Dominion Lux Garage Condominiums as a great resource. If you're in the DC area, you want to have a place to park your cars, enjoy, hang out, do some fun things. So we'll start with that one. But is there another go-to for you? Maybe it's an app, a website, or someplace you find yourself quite often?
Well, you mentioned the racing several times. I'm a member of the Vintage Racer group, and that is a great group of people who I think bring the right attitude towards vintage racing. It's really all about the cars, and as you said earlier, it's also about the people, and the cars are a reason to get together. But there are no trophies. It's really about getting the cars out and using them as they are intended to be, but in a safe, and sane environment. So the Vintage Racer Group is one that we're Mid-Atlantic focused, but I would say if you're interested in vintage racing, it's a great place to go and get started.
Absolutely. Their website is vrgonline.org. I'll put a link to that on Stewart's show notes page. I was part of the Sovereign group out here on the West Coast when I was racing vintage cars. These groups are really fantastic if you want to get out and be a race car driver in a real race car, relatively safe. If you are a smart driver, there's no bumping and fender rubbing in vintage racing, but it's a wonderful way to get out and have fun. I did it for many years and really, really enjoyed it. Now, how about a book, Stewart? Is there a book you've read that you think our listeners would enjoy?
Yeah, it's not automotive, but it's a few years old now. But Educated by Tara Westover is a fantastic book about an incredible journey of a woman who grew up in Idaho in a survivalist family that didn't really believe in going to school and things like that. And the book is all about her journey to basically escape that and get a PhD from Cambridge.
Wow.
I just found it a riveting book. I mean, there were times when I was reading the book and, even though I knew that she had written the book, I thought, how is she going to survive this? So,
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a very, very gripping book. I can highly recommend that.
Awesome. This is great and, of course, appropriate because last month I featured 23 women on Carjack to celebrate Women's History Month. And so that book's not been recommended, so I'll make sure to put a link to that book on Stewart's show notes page. And if you love books, go to the Carjack website. Under the Resources tab, there's a category there called Guest Recommended Books where there's over 1,800 books listed, probably over 2,000 now. I can't keep up, but this Educated by Tara Westover sounds like a fascinating read. Cool. We're going to take another short break for our sponsors, and we will be right back for the checkered flag, so sit tight. Did you know that Carjack is in the top 1% of all podcasts based on listenership according to Libsyn, the premier RSS feed for podcasts in the United States? That's right. And Carjack is the only 5-day-a-week automotive-focused podcast for you to get your message into the ears of thousands of listeners daily from all over the world. Plus, DuPont Registry recommended Carjack as one of their top 10 car podcasts for you to enjoy. Carjack has experienced tremendous growth, plus your ads are evergreen, meaning they never go away. And more listeners find Carjack every day for their daily dose of automotive inspiration. Do you want to expose your brand to a highly targeted list of automotive enthusiasts in a very unique and very personal way? Well, I can help you. Contact me, Mark Green, at mark@carjack.com or through the website at carjack.com today to learn more. All right, Stewart, we're up to the checkered flag. You've seen this many times being out on the track. Time to put your foot into it. Now, I'm going to buy you a very cool collector car today. Anything in the world you want, I'm going to park it in your garage. But as a regular listener, you know there's rules to this game. One is it needs to do a lot of things because it needs to be something that you'll get out and drive. No beauty queens or dust collectors allowed here on Carjack. You can't sell it to fund a bunch of other cars, so whatever you choose, you've got to keep. But here's the hard part. And I'm going to do something special for you is I usually say it's the only collector car you can have. That MG you've had since high school, I'm going to park that in the back. Let's forget about that because I'm figuring you just go, well, Mark, I already have it, so goodbye. I don't want you to do that.
Right.
We want to play a little fantasy game here. So what kind of car am I buying you today, Stewart?
Well, that would have to be the cousin to my 250 GTE, but the drop dead gorgeous 250 short wheelbase.
Yeah.
That is a car that would certainly check all the boxes. You could drive it to the racetrack. You could put it on the track, and it is one of the most beautiful machines in my mind that I've ever seen. And it is the one car. I'm not generally a fan of recreations of iconic cars. You know, there are a lot of. That is the one car that I might seriously consider buying a recreation of because I'll never be able to afford the real thing nowadays.
Oh, they're crazy. Yeah. Well, the folks at GTO I've had on this show, they build those for people sometimes.
Yeah.
They had a beautiful black one. I think it was last year I remember seeing, which typically I'm not a black car guy because I just don't like cars that look dirty all the time. But the 250, what color do you want yours to be so that I find you the right car? Well,
I would take, I'm not going to be picky. I would take either red or yellow.
Okay.
Well, the car looks great in yellow.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Wonderful car. One of my favorites that Ferrari made for a street and track car. Absolutely. I got to drive one down at Moroso once with a gentleman I met that tossed me the keys and said, let's go for a drive. So, it's pretty...
You probably didn't have to ask you twice. Huh?
No. In fact, that day, I got to drive 2 of them. I went back to the Breakers where I was staying. This was during a Cavallino event. There was another guy there with one. And he said, I said, God, I just got to drive one. I was saying, this is my favorite car ever. And he goes, well, now you can say you've driven 2 in one day. When you come back, give the keys to the valet. I'll be at the bar. And I just looked at him and I went, you don't even know who I am. I may never come back. So,
right.
yeah. So I got to drive a red one that day and a silver one. So, Very nice rides. You've taken us on a fun ride today, Stewart. I knew this would be great. I want to thank Tom Gibson for putting us together, Gibson Communications. He brings me so many great guests here. So Tom, shout out to you. Now, before I let you go, before you drive off down the track in that 250 short wheelbase, what's one little parting piece of wisdom or guidance you might leave us with?
Well, we've actually talked about it a bit, it's always been a tough year here, but this is still one of the best countries to live in, and opportunities if you find something you're passionate about and you work hard at it, there's a lot of great opportunities. So we've touched on that. Do something you love, do it better than most people, and you should have some success.
Most definitely. What are the different ways people can learn more about you and this new project?
Well, the best way is to go to our website, www.dominionlux.com. You can also follow us on Facebook. I think that's Dominion Lux as well.
Uh-huh.
And the best thing to do would be to come by and meet you down there and show you around and show you the track and tell you about the Drivers Club and see if we can interest you in a garage, because, if you're like me, I'm going to be the first customer. I don't know any automotive enthusiasts who have too much garage space.
No.
I've yet to meet that person.
Yeah.
So
cool.
it's usually, even if you don't already have the car that you that won't fit in your current garage space, you have a list in your mind, right? So
yeah, absolutely. And I always say, if you have to store cars all over the place, why not put all of that capital into one place that you own, and then down the road, you or your heirs can sell it and to the next guy or the next gal, whoever needs it. So nice investment opportunity as well. Yeah, very cool. Stewart, hey, thank you for being so generous today with your time and your expertise. It's been great fun to catch up with you. Next time I get over into your part of the world, I'm going to come by and visit Dominion Lux Condominiums and have some fun. Maybe we'll go for a ride on the track. Until you and I talk again, my friend, I'll see you down the road.
Thank you, Mark. My pleasure.
This has been fun.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.